Nordic Tales and American Trails is an outdoor and hunting podcast focusing on tales and trails from Northern Europe and the USA, hosted by Erik from Sweden and Adam Fu from Louisiana. The podcast covers all aspects of the outdoors, with a special emphasis of hunting with dogs. We will explore the unique tales and trails of our region, the various dog breeds used in hunting, and the differences in hunting practices between the USA and Northern Europe.
All right. Well, what's up, man? What's up? How's it been?
It's been good. It's been good. I
Yeah,
mean, it's been like almost a month since we talked last. So
it may have been. Geez, between everything, it's been a very super busy time. Bunch of good things, bunch of regular life things, right? But
yeah, it's
at
been.
least some of it's been hunting, you know.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if you can hear it, but like my voice is not great. I'm down with a man cold here for the last 2 days after what was it, 3 full days of hunting wolves.
Oof.
We were
Mm-mm.
like sub-zero Fahrenheit, so like -24 to -18 Celsius.
Yeah, I know you. I know you gave a little update, somewhat, in the one of the previous episodes. But so, how's your hunting season been in comparison, in your mind, in a meter of like comparison to previous seasons?
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things when you're starting to get towards the end of a season, like you feel like, oh, at least for me, I always get the feeling that have I really hunted anything? Like,
Mm,
and then you look back and like, yeah. But I mean, some of the highlights, obviously, which we talked in the podcast a lot about, is obviously Darren's trip to Sweden back in the September. That was an amazing hunting trip for me as well. Obviously, like I tried to make sure Darren had an amazing time, and I know he did. But like for myself, like I haven't hunted with Norbotten Spitz for capercaillie and black grouse before either. So that was definitely amazing. And I have a standing invitation to go back to people we visited. I'm probably gonna take them up on that in hopefully August or September before
mm.
our season really kicks off here. So and before that we had the brown bear season, which was 3 days I think before the quotas were filled, uh, which actually resulted in a fair bit of good baying on the moose. And I think that's like the coolest thing I think for this season for me is Lily, my oldest Russian European Laika. She's now 9 years old, and hands down, this has been her best moose season.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting. That's super interesting.
I mean, when she was 4 or 5, she would chase the moose a little bit, but then she would like, yeah, this isn't as fun.
It's always
But
promising for a lot of people, that
yep.
with that age, because everybody keeps thinking, like, something we talk about all the time is like, is it too late for my dog? Or not that she was already hunting, but there are some dogs where people feel like they're not progressing the way they want to, so they sometimes give up on them too early. When
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think there's
No,
just like a maturity meter in there that sometimes it just, every dog's different.
yeah, and I mean, like, if I look back, like, if you asked me 3 years ago, I would say tell you if she's over 1,000 yards away chasing, it's not gonna be a moose
Right, right.
because like she jumped them if they didn't stay fast, so she could bait them. Then it's like she wasn't gonna put the resources into chasing it. But just 2 weeks ago now, she was up in 10 miles, 11 miles, chasing a moose cow and a calf. And I was like, well, she was a few thousand yards away from the closest shooter and was like heading outside of the property. So I was like, I'm just going to take the car, go around and pick her up, and we're going to call the day off. I get 200 yards in front, and I'm telling you, like 90% of the time, I can call her and she's going to come. And apparently, the moose was between the dog and us, obviously. So the moose turned around and went north again, and she just took off. So she did like 20 miles that way,
Whew.
which is like I think the furthest she's ever ran with a moose. And like I actually had to drive the car, so I got in front or like between the moose and her. So and she was looked at me like, I'm not done. I was like, yes, you're done.
Yeah.
Let's go back home. And that only happened with the wild boar before.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. So is y'all season starting to come to an end?
Yeah, legally we can hunt to the last of January.
Okay. Okay.
But currently we're sitting on 1.5 feet of snow, and the forecast is 2 more feet of snow here in 24 hours. So we're probably gonna get snowed in tomorrow. And if the weather doesn't go to plus, we're gonna have snow for a few months now. So most
Yeah,
likely the season is gonna be over for the dogs.
I hear you. Well, I mean, are you satisfied with I know you have your young pup Sarah. I mean, she's showing a lot of promise right now.
Oh yeah, like yeah,
Yeah.
that the young Sarah, the West Siberian like I got from Norway, hands down the best dog I've had for her age. I think for her, like what's really amazing is the on and off switch.
Mhm.
And whenever I take pups to the woods, so we picked up Sarah when she was 6 months, so she wasn't really pup stage, like obviously a very young dog still when I took her first to the woods, but she has never messed around.
Right.
Like she hasn't chased mice, she hasn't like played around in the mud or in the water hole or anything like that. She's just been hunting.
Business.
Yeah. And
That's awesome.
all my dogs before, they could spend 30 minutes running around in a bog
Right. Right.
because it's fun to run around in a circle, right? But yeah, Sarah, it's been amazing.
That's awesome.
That's one of the reasons I'm debating if I should go try to see if I can do like 4 days hunt south if we get snowed out, because I just want to let her go a few more times before putting a leash on her.
How old is she now?
She's basically just 1 year old.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
I mean, with Kylo, I really started. I'd say February was the first time I taken some pigs down to him before that, but February is when I really started, I'd say, hunting him, and he was almost 2, you know? But I had worked with
Yep.
him extensively, but hunting wise, and, so since February till now, I've taken 17 boar with him. I'm
Yep.
pretty happy, man.
My original plan was obviously I was going to take it slow with her.
Mhm.
I cheated a bit. I let her go a week before legally. I don't think we have enough listeners to me to get into trouble. And she was 7 months at that time. And we were gonna out. This was actually like episode 3, I think, where me and Oscar talked about this, because we were basically going out and fixing 2 shooting stands,
Right.
and I was like, well, I'm just gonna bring her with me. All my puppies when they're there like 6, 8 months, because we don't really have that much game. So if they run off 200-300 yards, they're not gonna run into anything. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna bring her. She's gonna play around in the mud around us while we build our stands. And she stayed with us for 5 minutes, and then she was 800 yards out and barking.
That's awesome. You can't beat
And
that.
no, and then I just called the owner, because we have her. We don't own her. We have her like with a. I'm not sure the English term for it, but like she's still owned by the breeder.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if there's an English term for it.
I don't think I really heard of that.
No, so basically she lives with us, but the owner or the breeder uh, has the owning rights and pays all the veterinary costs and all the costs to start on dog shows or hunting trials. And he's gonna have the first litter at his place in his kennel name, and then she's transferred over to us.
Okay, okay.
So it's like a system where you, as a breeder, can maybe have 2 or 3 females that's about the same age, but you maybe only want to have one in your home, so to say. And for me, it's just a way to like make a co-work with someone that's really known within the Leica breeds here in Scandinavia. And I just called him like, this just happened. I'm gonna keep you updated. I keep him updated for everything, basically. And then the next time she did the same thing, and he just went, just go. Just let her go and start hunting her and
Yeah.
see where she goes. That's the only downside. Like, she hasn't really got any big baying in. But I mean, at the same time, my older dogs rarely gets some baying in now when we have a bit more wolf population, and I'm not sure. But the games just feel more jumpy, and it's one of those things. Yeah, you can blame the dogs and everything, but whoever I talk with, like in general, the game here is very jumpy. And to quickly go back to the wolf hunting here, so we have basically went up 3 a.m. and then we basically were driving roads with fresh snow for 4 hours, maybe 15, 20 of us, looking for fresh wolf tracks. So me and my friend, we spent 3 nights doing that. We found 1 lynx track, 6 different wolf tracks, we found one moose track.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yep.
The predator numbers are heavily outweighing.
Now, obviously, the hunting this season, it's very regulated here, so it's in an area where there's a lot of wolves and there's not much prey left. Why the Fish and Game have decided like this pack needs to go, or it's gonna start going for like livestock.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
still, like we drove 5-6 miles dirt roads every night, and we only had one place where a moose actually went over the road.
They definitely have to have some kind of effect on them, especially with that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, with the numbers like that. I mean, it's crazy.
yeah. And I mean here, I think on average they say that a wolf pack kills a moose every 3 days.
Okay, that's a pretty high number.
Yep. So yeah, that's been a little bit of my season. How has your season been?
I mean, I'd say really my season, because as you know, I hunt wild boar mostly, and I don't really have a season. But our good hunting doesn't start till after the deer season, which is like mid-February. Over here, people can still bow hunt on deer mid-February, but a lot of it's over after January. So some of my best spots are people who have deer leases and whatnot that are getting flooded with pigs and they want them gone. So really, considering that, because most of my spots now are not great spots, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. We've had two hunts with Kylo that uh resulted in nothing, and I found no fresh sign also. And one hunt with our cur dogs and all that resulted in nothing. And they didn't get hunted nearly as much as Kylo has. So like I said, so since February, I hunted February, March, and like right at the beginning of April. And then I've hunted from maybe November till now, but just a few hunts in between there. And like I've taken 17 over Kylo, and so it's been pretty, really, really good as far as my ratio goes. And he's progressing as well as I'd like him to. As he's 2.5 now. So it's
Yep.
going great. And I'm really looking forward to, like I said, after mid-February, it should get really good. I mean, that's where all of our numbers come from.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I guess I definitely get envious of your season being so, in a way, spread out.
Hmm.
But at the same time, like you can struggle with the heat that we really don't
Yeah,
have
I
during our
mean, that's
season.
why, even though I don't have a season, we can hunt the cur dogs and do okay during the summer. But with Kylo, that's why I hunted, like I said, February, March was, I could kind of hunt him. Got to watch him though. He gets on a real good race. I'll have to
Yep.
tone him off. And I shut it down in April. And October's still a little hot to hunt. So November is really when I kind of started it. So it is tricky like that. That's I definitely say it's one of the downsides of using the Spitz breeds here. Even though like you and Robin covered, well, you specifically on the episode with Robin, that our Lycas have way less hair. Like
Yeah.
they adapt really well, but even then, it's still a lot more than a cur dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one of the good things of having kind of both in our dominized kennel. So, but I'll shut it down with him probably about the same April, and that usually gives me good enough spots to take good numbers and capitalize the rest of the season with him.
Yep.
There's a big one for him, in my opinion, going on 3 years old.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, super excited, man. Super excited. And
Yeah. I think that like the period for me, like from 6 months to maybe half a year or 1.5 years. So like 6 to 18, when you can start to see where you think the dog is heading. That's amazing. And then when you get to like 2.5 to 3.5, when you're like, okay, now we're hopefully tuning into not as we talked about obviously with my older dog, like she's having her best season at 9, but like when you in theory should get towards your prime.
yes, yes. And it's very interesting how I guess the way dogs progress differently, because I'd say when he first started from 6 months, like you said, 6 months to 2 years old was like a rocket. He looked like he was just going to take off and be 100 miles an hour. What I'm noticing now is what he's developing more so is his intelligence and learning wild boar behavior. Because if anything, he dialed back that fire, and he's working everywhere he knows. Like, this is where areas that I've found boar at. So he's like working way more intelligently in a
Yep.
closer area before he just takes off and goes and skips off out of everything. So it's been very cool to watch, you know?
Yeah, he doesn't really like speed ahead without a thought, but
Exactly.
he
And he
checks
used to.
everything where he thinks there could be boars.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially,
Yeah.
I think something that has helped him a lot is the fact that we have like incredibly thick woods. You know, it's super nasty and bore hide tight. You know, we don't have, that's another thing we talked about. We don't have wolves and we don't have a lot of natural predators for these boar. So I notice in like a lot of you guys' videos, there's a lot of, especially when you're boar hunting, you're walking around whispering, trying to keep quiet, you know.
Yep.
But for us, them pigs not worried about us. We could stomp around, and it won't be until we jump them out of their beds, then they're like, "Oh, it's a threat," because there's
Yep.
nothing else there is a threat, you know. And now they'll run, they'll put the wheels on, especially. I mean, just ask the cur dogs, they'll tell you. But oh man, but yeah, that's one thing that we don't. You do have to, of course, be quiet, sneak in once you're bait up. But as far as just hunting, you know, you could stomp around, make all the noise you want, then you'll still step on top of a pig. You know.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason like why we want our dogs to have a bigger search.
Hmm.
Like I would say 80% of the time, if they start baying within 1,000 yards, it's just gonna run. And if you go on the moose hunting with like the Swedish Alcan and Norwegian Alcans, like they want that moose to be what could the English term like? They want the dog to like sing for it for 2 hours. Like they will stop and make a fire, cook some coffee, and just let that dog be there for 3 hours before they even try to get within 2,000 yards.
Really,
Yeah. Hopefully, like
that's a whole different mindset.
yep,
And that kind of leads me to another thing I guess we can talk about in this episode. This would
yeah,
probably be a good one to talk about with some other experts as well, I'd say.
yeah.
But
We're no experts though.
no. That's why
With
that's
other
why
people.
we can bring
Yeah,
it up here with us and share our opinions. But I'd like to get some other opinions on it. But something we just recently talked about was the engaging of the game.
yeah,
Uh, because there's several schools of thought, and like you said, they're the Leica guys here that use like Alex and Wayne. They use them on Bear. They want them to engage, and personally, that's the probably the biggest difference I've seen when I run a Leica versus any other dog. Uh, well, Leica down here versus any other dog is that one because like my Leica Snow, she used to bathe pigs, but she wouldn't touch it. She would bathe very
yep,
far back, wouldn't touch it. So very rarely would a boar be technically bayed up until she's done baited like 10, 15 times. You know,
yep,
bay, run, bay, run, bay, run. But with Kylo, they don't really, because he tears up that back end pretty good, you know.
yep,
So they don't really, once they're bayed up, they might go couple yards before they turn around again, couple yards before they're turning. So you can usually get there pretty easily. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I definitely think, just thinking logically, if you're chased by something that bites you in your butt, you're gonna turn around
Yeah, right.
because it hurts.
Yeah.
I think that's like common sense. And in that sense, I think that that's definitely a reason we might struggle more with getting wild boars to bay up. Now, like if a dog would try to bite a moose, they would just get kicked. So,
Yeah.
so that doesn't really affect like the moose hunting in that sense, I think, because I
Yeah.
mean even wolves get killed by kicking mooses. So
Yeah. And I don't think you would ever I think just trying to bite would force that moose to continuously move anyways, right?
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But with the wild boars, I definitely think that it definitely makes the game less likely to run, I think.
Mhm.
But I also think it definitely increases the chances of risks
Mhm.
for the dog as well. So it's definitely a interesting topic and a hard topic because as we talked about in previous episodes and that like it's illegal here for our dogs to even engage the game as long as the game isn't wounded, which
Right.
is why if you're a wounded game hunter, like we talked with Michael about, if you do enough wounded game hunting, then you might even get like an easy burn, like a big male that you only use a wounded game, and then you want that biting and engaging to
Mhm.
basically tear down and finish off a fallow deer or roe deer or a smaller pig. So it's definitely something that's problematic, I think, from my point of view. And I also think that's something that we struggle with when it comes to the Leica breeding in general. Especially if you look at Russian European Leica, that's if you talk with breeders east of here, so Russia, Ukraine, and all that, like they even feel that the Russian European Leica is more open to engage than the West Siberian. Now,
Hmm.
obviously, that's like depending who you talk, obviously, but I think that's something that we struggle with when it comes to the Leica breeding in Scandinavia, is that we can't really bring that in.
Mhm.
Uh, but with that said, there's a lot of Leicas that actually hunt with a mouth collar. I'm not sure if we would call it that, but like
Yeah,
basic,
muzzle.
yeah, like a
Mm.
cage, so they can't bite.
Mhm.
They can still bark and bay up, but they can't bite. So yeah, it's definitely something that's very different when we look at other countries, I think, as well. Obviously, your conversation with Bo in Australia and whole of Eastern Europe, like, and even if you look at Leica trials in Russia,
Mhm.
they judge how the dog will engage the game.
Yeah.
Same like that's on their hunting trial scoring is how much they actually bite the game to make them stop.
Oh, yeah, I had
So
a guy, just not to throw you off topic, but just to throw it in there, that a guy in Ukraine kinda almost make fun of my dog for baying a boar that was smaller than him instead of catching it, you know?
yeah,
So, yeah, that is a mindset over there.
yeah. I mean, if you talk with some of those guys, now I'm not trying to offend anyone, but they
No.
feel like i- if two Lycas can't hold down like a 60-kilo pig, then they're not tough enough dogs.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a fun topic, man, in that sense,
It
because
is. It is.
it's definitely something I think that in general we don't really talk about it in the Lyca breeding. Everyone knows like we're kind of tying ourselves behind the back in a sense because we can't bring in the best bloods.
Mhm.
If you ignore the whole animal ethics part of it and
Mhm.
our laws, our breeding would probably be simpler if it was allowed. On a personal level though, like I do struggle with the whole engaging on an animal part.
Mhm.
um I'm not sure how much it is me being raised here that you never hunt that way. It's the same way. Like I probably can't see myself doing like Bo did and go out and try to hunt with a spear.
Yeah. Yeah, right, right. Yeah.
So like I'm not sure how much it is culturally that I have a problem with it. But at the same time, when I was in America and hunting with Alex and his dogs obviously engaged, like it's part of the game there. And for me, it's like you bring the customs to where you're going.
Mhm.
Like if I would travel to Australia to hunt boars, well, I'm gonna hunt boars the style they're doing it. Or if I go to Norway with Robin to hunt wolverines, I'm gonna do it the way he does it. But I can definitely see not the risk, but like so now and then on Leica groups on Facebook, you're gonna see a picture of like 10 Leicas and one boar basically in the middle, very closely being torn apart while being
Yeah.
alive. And a video like that, it's very easy to understand that people will be against it.
Yeah, it disturbs me as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Even being here in America, it does when I see those. A lot of those come from, like, Spain,
Yeah.
Spain, some in the Ukraine, but I say Spain, I see they use a lot of they'll put a lot of Lycas down and,
Yeah. And I mean, in Spain, you do the Monteria. Um, we're probably gonna try to get some dog handlers down the line from that does Monterias, but I'm not sure how familiar you are with that style of hunting.
not much.
Basically, without trying to say I'm an expert on it, like they just put out 200 dogs and push
Okay.
through a whole
I
mountainside.
think I have
Uh,
seen that on, like,
yeah,
one of the, aim point videos or something like that.
yeah, exactly. They do that, but the like what's the other side is they do that once a year, and
Okay.
then that mountain is never hunted anymore that year. So so then you have the argument from them like, yes, it's a bit unethical for 24 hours, but then all the game is undisturbed for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and you guys are hunting every weekend, or
Yeah, we hunt. We
yeah,
can hunt 3, 4, 5 days a week, and
yeah,
well, that might not be as friendly for the wild boar or moose either to always have a dog chasing them.
yeah. So it's all just a
So
different mindset for sure.
yeah, and I think it's definitely easy to like paint yourself into a corner where you think your way is the best way.
Right, right.
But I mean, so for me, like, yeah, we can chase the same moose for 30 hunts a year. That might not be that healthy for the moose,
Mhm.
especially when you get into now December, January, when you know that moose cow has a calf
Right.
growing inside her. Like, if she gets chased too far, she might throw the calf out.
Mhm.
So, like, yeah, it's definitely. I think it's easy to paint yourself in a corner. But I think those videos when you have 10 like us, basically threading a wild boar apart, like it's easy to understand that if you're not against hunting, a video like that can turn you against, especially dog
Oh,
hunting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, even I don't love the catching. We do it sometimes, uh, but I think I'm starting to really appreciate the back end grab just to turn them around, that engagement part. And the reason I wrestle with this a lot is because, which I shouldn't be thinking this prematurely, but I keep thinking about my next dog after Kylo, right? And part of me wants to get, a well-bred wild boar East Siberian like us straight from Sweden, but then also I'm like, well, there's a good chance this dog doesn't engage at all. They've been bred to not for a long time.
Yep.
Um, so it's something I've been thinking about quite a lot. I think, you add a lot of focused breeding on wild boar, a lot of drive, a lot of go, but like I said, you can possibly take away that back end bite that I think I'm starting to like now. But
Yep.
also, I can also see myself. I wouldn't be very concerned about it if it's a situation where I know I have a dog that's going to bay up for hours at a time.
Yep.
If the weather conditions are right, of course, and I can just cut that dog loose and just let him do his thing till it's stopped.
Yep.
Whereas right now, I think the biggest benefit to the people who do like hunting with Kylo and like me is that from jump to chase to bay to kill is usually all done far under an hour.
Yep.
It's just very quick and uh so just kind of wrestling with that in my mind a little bit as well. I don't know where my thinking it on it is. That's why I'd say I wanted to bring it up to you
Oh yeah.
and other these other
Yeah.
guys we plan on having on. I know for sure that I'll have an opinion on it.
Yeah.
So
Like I do think though, like when it comes to the both East Siberian and West Siberian like us here, because you have wounded game hunters here that wants to engage in like, and they will buy a dog from a good East Siberian wild boar breeding, and then they will just trigger the dog early on to bite.
okay.
Like you wrestle with it, you make it bite into dog toys, and the first time you kill a wild boar, you like make them really grab it, and you like trigger it. And I think no one really struggles with getting that engaging part. We're definitely more people that struggle with getting it out,
Right, right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys still have that trait that can be
Yep.
there. You just
Oh yeah, definitely.
constantly working to not have it because of
Yeah,
obviously for legal reasons, ethical
and
reasons.
basically never putting it on Facebook
Yeah.
or social media.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a few people who do the like I said, the blood tracking and whatnot, and
Yep.
they do talk about. I guess the terminology is different because they always say, like I don't know the wording they use, but I know it's different from what I would use. So I was like, I'm pretty sure they mean the like actually
Yeah, they
right
mean
the
the same
game.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it is something. I mean, and also there are times where I'm like, man, it would be pretty nice to go by this island on a boat and cut like a Yampton out where we
Yeah.
hunt. Because the good thing about where we hunt, you can only go so far. It's an
Yeah.
island, and just wait.
Yeah.
So there's just so many thoughts in my head, active.
Yeah. And I also
Uh,
think like Darren talked about this, but like your option with the e-collars,
Huge difference.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean, if our dogs don't want to listen to us, they just don't listen.
You find them when you find them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you just put the GPS down to sending signals every 2 minutes, so you have longer battery life, and then you just sit in a car listening to Karla Vagnen, which would be a Swedish radio show that's live from like 23 p.m. or 11 p.m. to like 4 in the morning.
Right, right. And that's another thought there. Like, I think that's a big difference with the elk hounds and Lycas too. And also that I say those two because we talk about a lot of Spitz breeds
Yep.
here, but the cur
Yep.
dogs differentiate in that area the same way when it comes to a tight baying dog versus a loose baying dog.
Yep.
Where I notice here a lot, those loose baying dogs are way, especially here, I guess, because the pigs are far less threatened. Sometimes those pigs just don't want to run from when they're found. They're just like, "Oh, I'm not really worried about you." But Kylo Bay is so tight that
Yep.
they always run first. He's just
Yep.
going to engage. But I guess the downside of that is the thicker spots where you have to actually like really pinpoint where
Yep.
that boar is. Those looser dogs are going to sit back a good ways, maybe
Yep.
without the boar being in sight, just baying off a scent alone. So there's so many schools of thought of which could work better, and it's it's not so easy to try out.
No, and I think like this podcast is like it triggers so many thinking for me as well. And
That's exactly. I was editing you and Robin's podcast. I'm just like,
yeah,
everyone I've edited so far, or
yeah,
listened to, or been part of, is just it opens up a whole new
it's a rabbit hole.
world of options. Yes, it's a big rabbit hole, and like you kind of someone like me, I want to try something like that before it's too late. And
Yep.
for me to go with another Leica from here is super simple. That is
Yep.
so easy. Save me a lot of money, but I don't get to experience what if that is what I like? What if I do
Yeah.
like to cut a dog loose and let that dog work and listen to it bay for an hour?
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of different things. And I'm
Yeah.
already doing abnormal wild boar things when it comes to America.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we hope our listeners feel the same way, that our conversation and the guests we bring on are gonna open your mindset to try different things. And we're definitely pushing myself and Adam outside our normal thinking boxes as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope we're not rambling on too much about just whatever, but these are just kind of thoughts. I think this is interesting topics as well, because these are just regular dogsmen conversations,
Oh yeah,
things that
definitely.
occur through our minds all the time.
So
Um,
so quickly with your thoughts then, like, do you think if Kylo didn't engage, would the ball runs further? Yeah.
yes, because
Even
there,
if he bayed so close?
yeah,
Yeah.
because well, maybe not one, maybe not just one boar, but
Yeah.
the times I've had trouble is when we have like a group, and he's obviously not just grabbing one of them out that group. He's kind of
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
that group, and that's when it's just something I've had to tone him off of a lot of those, which is goes to the conversation of the e-collar, especially
Yeah.
being warm down here. Like I had to tone him off of those. You really don't want to,
Yeah.
but you got to think about those things. It's a like it's hot. He might have more drive than he has, and like the sense of how hot he's getting.
Yeah.
Um, so I do think the engaging part, and on top of that, every wild boar I've cleaned, their rear end has been demolished. So like I have to cut out chunks of meat out the back end, unless it's a huge one, which I don't think he's actually biting those. I think he's getting close enough to put enough pressure, and they're just big enough to say, get off me, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Like, without, I'm not gonna name any names, obviously, because, but like, obviously, I get sent pictures or conversation where a Leica has finished off a wild boar here in Sweden, but those will be like 20 to 30 kilos, which is like 40, 50 pounds.
Yeah, yeah,
Because that's some, like, in general, I feel your boars are a little bit smaller. So it would be interesting to see, like this is something that's So I would love to you take Kylo here and you see how Kylo does on Swedish wild boars, and take one of my dogs to see how they does on your wild boar. Because at times, and especially when we're gonna try to not dive in too much to the rabbit hole, but like with your conversation with Bo, like I'm starting to think more and more like, are the wild boar the same? Because as you said, like your wild boar has no natural threats.
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
And so like if you're now a wild boar isn't like just a prey animal, like a wild boar isn't like a roe deer or a mule deer that has only predators to worry about. But at the same time, obviously that has to affect their mentality of threats. Like you said, like you can go and talk.
Mhm.
Like we will only go and talk if we really want to push the game to leave the thickets. So that's something like it would be amazing to if you could just teleport a dog from Australia into Sweden and see how it does, and then take a dog from here to America. Like, yeah,
I still
it
think that I think any Spitz type over here would do fantastic, but the problem is, so even though we have so much less of a threat, like natural predator wise, the problem is everybody here, almost everywhere you hunt, gets dog hunted by other dog hunters.
yep,
So they've been pushed. These are dogs. I mean, these are boars that have escaped via running miles already.
yep,
You know, they've been taught to run.
yep,
So if you don't have something that's very quiet on the track to put that pressure to stop them, I think it's really tough because everybody else who's hunting down here, they're using. I'd say if you got less than 3 dogs, it's a miracle, but
yep,
usually 3 and a lot more and who are making a lot of noise on the track, and,
yep,
they're all trying to actively catch the boar and they don't wanna stop, so they're just especially if you're in these groups, they're just people who talk about these pigs that just don't wanna stop. They
yep,
run for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles, and I've seen it before, I've actually gone back and hunted the same places with a Leica who've bayed that boar up, like, 300 yards away.
yep.
So even without the engaging, I think you still do really well.
Yeah, and I think it comes to if you go to black bear conversation that I had when I was over there as well. It's like a hound, which is the term I'm gonna use. Like you have cur dogs,
Cur dogs, yeah, because there's several different cur dogs,
and like I'm not gonna try to remember all of them, but which makes sound on track.
Yes.
And me and Robin talked about this. Like his reasoning to go with a Karelian bear dog, which is Spitz type for Wolverine, was that he wanted the dog to be super silent on track and then jump the Wolverine. And I think it's the same with the wild boar. And I think it's the same. Like even if we have a moose, which you basically never hunt with a hound, but if a hound actually would hunt moose, the moose is never gonna stop, right? Because
Right.
they hear that something is coming from behind. That's definitely something that's interesting as well. Like, yeah,
Yeah, no, like, well, that's a conversation I wanted to have too, and this is 2 things I do wanna talk about when we have, like, experts on and just because there is a big I know it's funny, it is pretty funny, it's pretty funny to me logically, but there's a huge argument here with open dogs versus silent dogs.
yep,
It just doesn't seem like it should be an argument, like anything that especially if it's been run before, anything with common sense that's getting chased by something that's barking 100 yards behind it is always gonna I don't wanna say definite, I'm not an expert, right? But this is just my
no, no,
mindset,
no,
and we
yeah,
have dog like I said, we have a dog who is known for that, and we have a constant conversation about her all the time, and, you can say he's like, "Yeah, well, I mean, she only barks when the track is hot, right?" Okay, but what is a hot track? Like a 20-minute track? A 20 minutes ago, that boar is how far can that boar be?
yep,
It'd be 500 yards away. If she's barking 500 yards away, that's in for a long day.
yeah,
So I think you're completely right on that. Just, I mean, with a Leica or a Spitz type, or even our silent curs, when
yep,
they get on top of that boar and have that head start, it's just a huge difference. I think that's one of the bigger reasons why the engaging is part of it, but that could be that's probably the biggest aspect.
yep,
And, Spits have like this for you guys, it's probably just normal because you all hunt with Spits, but everybody who hunts with Spits down here, like they notice like the nimbleness through the woods. They
Yeah.
don't like crash through the woods, you know?
No. They silent.
Yeah, so it's different. Even if they're not barking on track, you know, some of these cur dogs and hounds, they just kind of thrash through the thickets, you
Yep.
know, which is a good thing because they don't lose speed in the thickets. But also the like is by the time the pigs know they're there, they're on top of them, you know.
Yep.
So it could be that too.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely a fun thought because I don't think we're gonna talk with anyone from Sweden or Norway or Finland even that like don't feel the same way you're doing in this conversation or in this topic because if we're on a driven hunt where we want the game to move, well then we typically don't really use baying dogs or spitz dogs. Then we're
Right.
gonna use dogs that open up on track,
Right.
like Wachtelhound or Beagle or Terriers or mixed breeds. Same like Michael used with watch Wachtel and Norwegian Elkhound,
Hmm.
which the idea is that you want them to open up on track, but also have some baying. And what we say, or like most people say here, is that like you can have a driving dog. Like that would be the term we would use, like a driving dog, which would open up on track. That can also bay, but they will only bay if the game decides to let them be bayed up. If that makes sense. So like
It's on the game's
it's
terms.
on the moose or on the wild boar's term where
Mhm.
they actually decide to bay up. So most of the time that's going to be in a really, really, really bad thicket when it
Right.
comes to wild boars. While a baying dog like a like or a spitz dog can actually force that wild boar to bay up just behind or just under a spruce, a smaller spruce in an open forest because that was the closest safety-ish it
Yeah.
could find. While if you have the driving games or driving dogs, they're always gonna end up in the very baddest thickets,
Yeah.
in my experience.
Yeah, and to your point, a lot of people see some of my videos and being in South Louisiana, they're like, "Oh, your woods are pretty open." Some of the times when they see Kylo baying, I'm like, "No, he's stopped them in the best spot for him to stop them. Like that's where
Yep.
he had the most speed, the biggest advantage." And that's why I think that's where the like is actually you can't I wouldn't say forcing because you're not actually forcing, but convincing that pig enough to stop
Yeah.
in there, you know. Whereas, like you said, the cur dogs, they're generally if they're bait up, it's in some nasty stuff. You know,
Yep.
it's usually in a thicket where they feel the most comfortable, and where like kind of you said, like you said, they decide where they decided to stop.
Yep.
So that yeah, definitely to that point, I agree wholeheartedly. And it's
Yeah.
not like every like I said, I have a guy, the guy who introduced me into hog hunting at all, my buddy David Rennie. He actually talked about joining us on here one day too. So this list keeps getting bigger and bigger. But
Yeah.
but
But I posted in some groups like if you're listening to the podcast and you want to join, just shoot out a message to me or Adam. Like
yeah,
we know we're gonna run out of people sooner or later. So
you're right, right.
anyone that's opening to sit down and talk with us, just reach out, man,
Yeah. And
or
he's
girl
you
for
know,
that matter.
he's American, but he has I feel like he just thinks of things kind of just open to everything. You know what I mean? Like the ideas of and his idea of like what he wants with the cur dog is kind of similar to what we would want, you know, as far as a baying dog goes. So yeah, I'm super excited to have him on too and share his thoughts on all this stuff as well.
So while we're talking about guests and all that, like let's do a quick recap because you did bow
Yes.
without me, sadly, or sadly, it was 3 a.m. in the middle of the night for me, and it was like
Yeah.
going to a 3 day work event, and was like, ah, I kind of need to sleep.
That's one thing
I
with us being from different countries, having another guy from a different country. So just
yeah
to give everybody a so because I know it's been fairly inconsistent with the Wednesdays, but it's pretty difficult with the timing. It's mostly been my work schedule, but also we have it's not like we're always on the same time. So it's like, hey, I'm free right now. We can just let's hop
yeah
on. You know
exactly.
what I
It's
mean?
yeah. You're recording currently straight after your work, and I'm recording an hour after I should be in bed.
Exactly, sacrifice. So
But yeah, with the bow one, I really love that. Like that dude is. I'm sorry if you get offended, but you're crazy, Bo.
it's crazy. He's not gonna get offended. He's
No.
that's
And one of my thoughts was like, I wonder how Leica would do down there.
yeah, yeah.
Like instantly, like I would love to see a Laika down there.
I don't think, as far as his dogs go, I don't think they would do better or worse. I think they'd be pretty much the same because with his dogs, his terrain's much like mine. He doesn't hunt like when you think, like I said in the video, when you think of, I mean, in that episode, when you think of Australia, that's not what he has. He hunts like
Yeah.
rainforest, like
Yeah, he
legitimate.
hunts the east side of Australia, which is basically rainforest, more like
Yeah,
Louisiana, I would think, than what you think of Australia.
for sure. And his dogs are very, very same traits, almost like honestly, like because they use a lot of mixed dogs.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're. I hope I don't offend anyone because Australia is now, I think, our third or fourth country when it comes to listeners. So thank you, Bo, for sharing. But like, it feels like they're trying to make a baying dog without having the the baying dogs from 1,000 years back.
Exactly, and they're doing
Yeah,
well. I
yeah,
mean, it takes a lot of trial and error, obviously, because mixes don't always. You mix two dogs and you think, well, I want this from this breed and this from this breed, but as you know, that's not always how it works.
yeah.
So
And I think the first generation can be easier, but the problem is when you do the second or the third one,
mhm,
then when you can't really control what you get. At least that's the general thoughts here. Like if you take a speed or baying dog and a driving dog, then you get 50-50. Then you should get a dog that do a little bit of both.
right,
But if you do that combination again, then you might not. Then you might end up with 75-25, and then you might just get to one side.
yeah, then you're
But
just
yeah,
tossing a coin eventually.
yeah. But it feels like the Australian are definitely they're getting good baying wild boar dogs without actually having what we would view as a normal baying breed. But I mean, at the same time, if I understood him correctly, they use like a lot of cattle dogs.
Yeah, they want that back end bite.
Or,
That
yeah, and it would be like the collies or the Australian Shepherd dogs. And basically, I don't think we have any more people that herd sheep, but like that's kind of like baying.
yes, yes. I think that's why. I think that's why I lead a little bit towards when I watch his videos and whatnot. I think our Lycas would do pretty much close to the same, except for dealing with the heat, because he's got it far worse than I do,
Yeah,
and that's
and I
all
think that
all year round.
yeah,
You know?
I mean, I don't think Galika in that sense would actually make it down there.
Yeah, yeah, but I know what you mean though. Like just to
Yeah,
test it out, and just see the differences. But it's just funny because we use, you guys purposely mix a driving dog and a baying dog, which is basically America's baying dog. It's a plot hound, it's a bay dog. Uh, anything that doesn't catch it is a bay dog.
yeah, yeah.
It's
If you would talk with someone here that has plots or some of this Canadian house, you say they have a bang dog, you probably can get hit in the face.
that's why that's why I'm super excited to have these future guests that we're gonna have, just to have these conversations or debates, and which hopefully there's no negative connotation that comes with debate. It's just literally is what it is, a debate.
Yeah, I mean different cultures.
Yeah, I just so happen to stumble upon this style of hunting, and there's a few, like I said, there's a few here that have just happened to stumble upon it. They had people who had elk hounds long, 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 long time ago, using them on black bear in Virginia and all, and somehow managed, some of the hunting breeds managed to hang on, and they end up using them on wild boar that have slowly migrated to the mountains and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we do have a. But is there anything else you wanted to recap as far as that goes?
No, from both one, I think I feel. But and then I did with Jeremiah. You have
Yeah,
any thoughts on that?
I thought it was super interesting, especially the trapping stuff like that.
Yeah, I
It,
love the
it's
trapping episode as well.
it's very different. Because it's just something we don't talk about often, right? Like
Yeah.
and to hear his story, it's pretty cool that he just got into it without having like a lot of us, like the background of, my grandpa got me into it, or someone introduced you into it. He just kind of happened upon it, and it looks like he's doing fantastic. Him and Trapper,
Yep.
so it's awesome, and to see people still trapping nowadays when there's not really much of a market for it, just to keep those traditions alive, I think is super important. Because sooner or later, I mean, we're getting closer to it dying off completely. It's just the unknown art, and Yeah, I thought he was an amazing guest. Your
Yeah,
this podcast was awesome.
yeah. It was one of those times probably recorded around the same time as we're doing now, and I was like, well, I'm gonna sleep before midnight, and I think we went up almost past 1 a.m. before
Yeah,
it just kept
and like
going.
he said he could talk about more. So
Yeah,
I'd be interested to talk to him again, especially like I said, having me be able to talk to him and having you be able to talk
yeah,
to Bo. Things that we missed. I would love to speak with Robin too. Listening to you
yeah.
guys.
Yeah, I definitely think like that's been the struggle. Like when you treat people with time zone differences, like
Yeah,
it's tricky with two. Three people,
yeah, it's a job.
it's a
So,
job.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we have. I'm hoping we can nail a couple episodes here. I got some stuff coming up, work turnarounds and things like that. But there are a lot of people I'm very excited to get on.
Yeah,
So listeners, just stay tuned. Especially if you're Spitz type guys, we have plenty coming. And I have another guy who's actually a falconer. You know what that is, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I hunted with him a bunch, and he's another guy that would like to come on. So
The self-promoting is strong, but we believe in our guests. So
yeah, yeah. These are all just people I get excited to talk to on a regular basis. So
yeah,
I just feel that they have a lot of knowledge to share, and their experiences are very worthwhile.
yeah,
Like I said, you and I are constantly trying to learn things all the time, and that's what I feel with every episode. I learn
yep,
something new, so that's the most important thing for me.
yeah. And like we talk about this a lot. Like as long as we learning something from every episode, we're gonna keep doing it. Like
Yeah,
that's what's the fun part about it. And then we had the conversation. Me and Robin had a conversation just a little while ago. Anything you picked up on that?
it kind of reiterated some of the stuff that I was thinking of. So we had just talked about a lot of the stuff as I was going into editing. As far as like you were talking about using hounds and opening on track and whatnot. One thing that's kind of crazy to me is it's not crazy to you guys, but for me, I did the opposite, right? I've always had hounds and curs. I didn't get a Leica till I was, or didn't know what a Leica was till I was 14, which is still young, but still, it was like, dang, that dog looks like a wolf. That's an awesome looking dog. I'd like to use that. But to see somebody get a Leica then want to go to a hound, I'm just kind of like, ah.
Yeah, we're doing the other
I
way. Like we're so used to the Spitz dogs. Like we think a hound is like exotic looking.
Yeah, right. And I'm like, I completely understand his reasons, right?
Yeah,
But still, I was like, for me, I feel like as much as I love hounds, I still run beagles and everything. I can't see myself ever leaving the Spitz type at all.
yeah,
I love a bay dog too much. Yeah, I would love to be able to talk to him as well. And like I say, he's had I really have been in that episode also might have I guess every episode because every time you talk about a Yampton, you say the same stuff. And so and the same stuff is good stuff to me, or a zone that I want to experience, right?
yeah,
So every time you talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I have to I'm gonna have to try me one.
yeah,
you know, for me, if I try one, it better work out because I don't trade dogs and stuff like that, so
yeah,
it's gonna be a family member at that point. But so to go from like he said he had 3 Yamptons, right? Before he
yeah.
got his 3 Yamptons, got a Karelian bear dog, which for people who don't know, it's almost virtually a Leica, right?
Yeah, without trying to offend any of our Finnish listeners or Karelian listeners,
Yeah.
but like it's very like the Karelian bear dog and the Russian European Lycas that I have three of is more related than the other Lyca breeds.
Yeah. Yeah, and I
So
mean, they're virtually doing the same,
yeah,
doing the same thing in the same way. For you guys, it's probably very obvious, like why you might switch between a Yapton and a Leica, and
yeah,
because you have them all the time. But for me, just having the Leicas and just having a West Siberian Leica that has never been bred over here specifically for big game, I'd love to know the little differences as to okay,
yeah,
what you prefer here. Why? Because these influence a lot of my thoughts as well,
yeah.
just because of what the Leicas have opened up for me in comparison to the other dogs I've had, right?
And I know Robin now. Robin is currently still in Poland on the trip that he
Okay.
talked about in the end. And I told him next time you're going there, I'm expecting your invitation. because it appears that they have a lot of wild boars.
Well, hopefully this year we might be able to get something cooking here in the States, you and I.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm looking at that schedule. I've been looking at it, and I think I'll be able to make some of that work out. So
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely
that'd
have
be
to try
awesome.
to sync that up. We might have to just end up like we need to hunt the whole day and then we just need to record podcasts
Yeah,
live
yeah, that would
in
be
a
awesome.
hotel room somewhere in America.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think we touched on some fun topics and then we recapped 3 or no, even 4 episodes because we split it up the Jeremiah 1 into 2.
yeah, that's right.
But I mean, we hope everyone has had a good Christmas and getting a good start to the new year.
So yeah, I'll send you off to bed, bro.
Yeah. Take
Get
care,
you.
everyone. Like and share as always.
Yes, sir. Peace out.